Hi, I'm Jim.
I'm Rinda.
We're Heartiness Approach,
Yes,
believe it or not.
we are.
We are going to talk about the process of getting a homestead. And this really applies to anybody of any age. Certainly was our experience, what we've learned from it.
This is the second one in our series.
Absolutely. This is the second one in the series. And tonight, what we're talking about is the land, choosing the land, finding the land, that part of the process.
We spent 6 months looking.
Actually, more than that. We had started before then doing some looking to realize we needed to go somewhere else and look.
Yeah. And we have so many people who are coming to us and saying,
they're starting there looking.
where can I look? And
Yeah.
we love it. We love it.
I mean, we certainly we're not the know-it-alls. We can share our experience. We can share what we know about this area and what we learned along the way. So it's helpful.
I mean, we can tell you why we're not in our beloved state of Colorado.
Or Oregon, close to other children.
Or Oregon,
Utah,
or Nevada, or Utah, or Idaho for that matter.
We don't have any children in Idaho.
No, but we
lots of friends.
definitely look there.
Yes.
But, wow, remember, if you'll remember back, it came down to water and affordability for us. And growing season, those three.
Absolutely. For us, it's sustainable. That's what we were looking at. And sustainable meant we weren't going to have water challenges that, like in Colorado, more and more water rights are being sold to the big cities. So less and less rural areas have access to water. Where they used to have lots of water, they don't have as much that they can use. They're restricted on how much they can make use of. So you may buy 10 acres and be able to put water on 1 acre of it. And
in Utah, our well went dry because of all of the large pivots that were there with the crops that were there. So there's all kinds of reasons, and most of the people who are looking are there, and we want to stream through our and we're like, that sounds so like perfect. Oh yeah, we have that. We have a creek running at the edge of our property. We have a pond. You know, we have that.
Amazing. I mean,
and a beautiful well that has the most incredible water in all of the whole town of what we live in.
So what we've been told, and the water does taste fantastic. We had pretty much kept as our dream, we want a pond. We'd like a stream. That would be nice if that could happen.
Didn't expect it.
And we had set it aside saying, you know, if it doesn't happen, we'll be fine. We'll be okay if we get the other things that we're wanting. And just, it turned out that we have it. Now, is it huge? Is it perfect? Is it, you know, no, but it's there, it's usable. There's a lot that we can do with it. I don't think there's any, what we recognized as we did our search process, there is nothing that's perfect.
No.
There are going to be places, land options, properties that have some of the things on your list. And you have to know which are the most important, which are the non-negotiables, and which can be negotiated, and look accordingly. But back to the sustainable.
Okay.
Which was important for us. It was a big factor, wasn't it? It was huge. We wanted to be able to afford it. We wanted to make certain that into the future, the expenses, the cost of operating it could be lower. And our tax rate here is extremely low.
I had no idea that people paid the amount of taxes that they pay. I had a patient in Oregon, and literally her taxes were $1,200 a month. $1,200 a month!
Now this is on a house in a town, which was very expensive town. But $1,200 a month just for taxes.
Just for taxes. Yeah, and somebody told me that their taxes cost what our mortgage costs. And so we didn't know how blessed we were when we bought this place. We had no idea how blessed. And we expect that if we do any improvements, it might go up. Okay, guys, it's $375 a year. It could go up a whole lot.
Yeah. So
without hurting us.
To us, that's sustainable. That was a sustainable factor, and so that helps Also, we wanted to have the option for raising our own food on it. Not just the option, but the ability that it could do that. We could have the water, we could have the space, and with no restrictions. Plus, a long enough growing season that we could expect to grow a wide variety of crops, both for us and for our animals. And so those were some of the factors that drove our decision making as far as the type of land we were looking for. But those were important factors to us, and other people may not share those same.
Yeah, you have to look and see what is the most important to you, and make your list. What are your top 3? Because we got our top 3.
Yeah.
And
but that's what makes it sustainable, is getting what you believe you really need to have. What's high up on your list.
And we're not talking about, oh, we never have to go to the store, we never have to do anything like that, be sustainable. We're not talking about that. We're talking about that you don't have to move again, that it has the needs that you needed and they're met.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately for us, one of the top things on our list that we didn't get was to be close to family. The amount of time it took for us to find land was mostly caused by attempting to do it
by family.
By family.
We literally looked at every corner of Colorado. I mean, at one point we were in the corner, and I'm like, but all we would be able to do is say, well, we're in Colorado. We don't like the place. It's not, it was the desert.
She's not saying we don't like Colorado.
Oh, no.
But it was a part of Colorado.
It was the part of Colorado. It was a total sacrifice for us. And the property was a total sacrifice for us. And we looked at each other and we're like, we're not even really near the kids. We've just got our toe in Colorado saying, we're here. So that made us do some checking.
That was a tough part of the choice, though, for certain.
Really
tough. But we're looking towards the future and knowing that if we are going to be able to sustain ourselves and to take care of ourselves, we needed the abilities that we were looking for in a property.
Okay. Oliver, what do you need? You need to go outside?
Hi.
I go away for a moment and I lose my chair. All right. We have several people who have asked us to look for land, and they give us their criteria. We love it. One of our friends we have talked to about a particular situation that I'm going to talk to you about right now, and it's in general. I want you to think about it. If you're looking for raw land because you want to build a home, then you're looking to get something that's very inexpensive. Well, we've found land here in Missouri that has an old barn on it and an old shed, and a well and electricity and an old mobile home and 10 acres, and it's $60,000, or it was. I don't know if it's still available. I need to check.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you've already got electricity and a well, then you saved yourself $30,000.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't looked for land, what you may not realize is that when you get raw land, in order to use it, unless you're going to be off-grid, you're going to have electricity brought to the property. In some cases, it may be right there, and it's an easy thing. In other cases, they have to bring it a distance, and it's very expensive to do. So you have to take that in consideration. But whether you're going to be off-grid or not, you're still going to need water, and you're going to need a well to do that.
See,
wells can be expensive to put in.
You may be thinking, yes, but we don't want to buy a fixer-upper like Jim and Renda did. Well, that's okay. Would we do it again? Yeah.
Yeah, we would.
We would. We would do it again.
Now that said, we're just going over a couple of items that you need to take into consideration when you're buying raw land. In addition to that is septic. You have to have septic put in typically too. So and when you're buying raw land, it's not just the price of the land, it's those other items that have to be part of it. You need to make certain you take those.
And even in Missouri, there is codes for the septic part. So not for anything else, there is for that. I mean, so if you're in an area where it's not anything else, it is for that.
For us moving into this house, even though it's not pristine, And we had a place, we had a roof over our head. I'm
not sure this house in pristine condition.
We had running water, we had electricity, we had the septic concerns were already taken care of. All of those were done. So, you know, for us, that factored into the price, obviously. For what
we also bought the property for the outbuildings.
Yes.
Because we are not having to build structures for our animals. Yes, we're building little pig huts and chicken tractors and things like that. But we're not having to build a huge barn. We are going to be putting stalls in there in the very near future for our little birthing areas for our goats.
But it's been very helpful to have these existing structures to keep animals in, whether we're brooding chickens or during the colder part of the year, having a place where the animals could come into, or to store whatever we need to store. And when you start with raw land, if you want to have animals, some of the shelter concerns, it's going to be there during bad weather. If your animals are having babies and you can only have them outside, it can be very rough on them. So having the existing infrastructure has been helpful. So it's, you know,
it's not a must.
Yeah, it's not a must.
For us, it was we really wanted it. I mean, we stood between this property and another property that had a pristine house and no outbuildings, and we came back to this one.
And all trees. I mean, there were no fields. So.
We would have had to clear all the trees.
So, you know, there's a balance. There's a set of choices for any option that you pick that's out there, but you need to understand what that's going to mean, and that cheap is not always cheap. There's a reason why it doesn't cost much a lot of times, and you need to make certain that you can handle that reason. And as we bought this house, it was reduced price, and it took us a couple of looks before we were willing to accept what we were going to have to do to get the house back where it needed to be.
Y'all know we drove off the property and then drove back on.
But it's part of the choice process.
It is. So, one of our followers said, wouldn't it be nice to be able to have several seniors move to an area and be one community there and help each other? Oh, that would be amazing.
Yes.
That would be amazing. We were like, well, let's just have a little apartment buildings that we put out there and everybody can homestead with us. That said, we want to just talk for a moment about the next part of when you find your land. Unless you are capable of doing every single thing yourself until you die.
Can't.
Then for us, we always knew we wanted to have another couple or another helper here to be with us. And so we needed to be able to have something on the property that they could live in. Something that is theirs. And when we talked about a travel trailer before, people go, Missouri is too hot, Missouri is too cold, you cannot do a travel trailer.
True.
So we absolutely listened to that. You ready to tell them what we're going to do?
If you are.
I am.
Okay.
We have our big red barn and we have Little Barn. And right now, Little Barn has, we've stripped all the wood off the sides.
We're storing things in there. We're keeping feed in there because we have it pretty well closed up. We haven't had mice problems with the cats around.
We haven't had anything like that. No snakes, no mice. And we have the chickens in the very back. Well, the chickens are coming out in just a little while, and we are going to make Little Barn into a cottage. So we're going to take all the wood out, clean everything out. One whole side will be taken down and rebuilt.
When you say wood, there's still some wood stored in the rafters.
Yeah, there's wood stored up there. So we're stripping it down to the rafters.
Replacing all the studs that need replacing. There are some that do.
Yep, putting insulation in. Putting
new windows,
drywall, new outside on.
Something other than a barn door.
Yep.
Did you say siding?
I said new side, so siding.
Yeah.
New siding on there. And it's plenty big for a nice bathroom and a walk-in closet, a little bedroom, a nice sized kitchen, and a nice living room. And the living room will be on the south side with full windows so that it can act like a passive sun.
Yeah, passive solar going on there.
We'll be able to have air conditioning in there and heating. And it will be really cute, and it'll be like a little house.
It's a cottage, and you know, a lot of talk today about tiny homes. This is larger than a tiny home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
like a little one
It's
bedroom.
not palatious, but it's not tiny. There's enough space if you're calling it a cottage.
And then we're going to, well, very soon we'll be advertising again to bring someone on here to help us, or hopefully a couple, but
someone who is not going to have the ability to get their own land somewhere, but still has the ability to do homesteading kinds of work. And we're not talking, you know, throwing hay bales up onto the top row or anything like that, but you know, the typical gardening, simple animal care, that type of thing, that really wants to do it to share in what's going on.
So in order for us to build the cottage, we in the near future will be putting together a crowdfunder so that we can have the help to be able to put that cottage together. And we've thought about it, we've prayed about it, we just feel like it's the right thing for us.
Well, part of what's driving it is we know that there are a lot of people who want to homestead, and it's a little bit out of reach. It's beyond what they're going to be able to do, and this can give at least somebody that option. Plus, we very much want to do a market garden in conjunction with everything else we're doing, but a garden large enough that it's going to feed us and provide enough food that we can share it with folks who need it. And by sharing, we mean, you know, just taking it to them and giving it to them. And there are many people that could benefit by good food. And so in order to do the quantity we're talking about, we really need a little more help to do that. And that's why we're wanting to bring somebody else in, so that we could have enough hands to definitely oversee that, make that happen, and so that we can fulfill our desire to be able to help folks who need some help.
This is also something that, as you are looking at getting your homestead, that you might think about to bring someone else on. And somebody gave us a wonderful website where we were looking at or reading about a younger couple that has come on to live with the older couple, and they're just thrilled to be able to be there because they weren't ready to do it yet, and just wonderful stories. And it's a great union. And we're not even making the stipulation that it needs to be a younger couple. It could be an older couple that's very vibrant and able to do things, and we just blend together.
Absolutely.
So we hope that we have given you some thoughts on finding your homestead and what your priorities are.
And one more, maybe the point was made, I think we need to emphasize it a little bit more, is as far as bringing in somebody who can be assistive to you, is that whether you're old, middle, or young, if something happens to one or both of you to where you have some reason, you know, it could be like you have carpal tunnel, I mean, which is something that happened to me. And so for 2 weeks, I couldn't do anything at all. And I had a hernia operation. And so for another 2 weeks, I couldn't do anything at all, which meant she was having to do everything, which meant not everything that needed to get done was getting done.
That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
So things can happen that can happen at the wrong time. If you have some crop, you know, it's time to harvest and you are physically unable to do it. If somebody else is involved with you, then they can pick up the slack. So, you know, the likelihood that multiple people would all drop at the same time goes way down. So that's just another consideration. You know, that's why it used to be farms had large families, because you needed the hands to make things happen. And not everybody could do everything all the time. And so that's part of where we're coming from.
Our list is so much longer than our day.
Yeah.
And anyway, we're excited about it. We've known we were going to do it since before we moved here, and we're ready to do it. So,
yep.
And if we find the right person and they are ready to come, person or people, they can stay in our guest room until
we get this up
and going.
So we're going to find ways to make it work. That's really what we're saying. It's the right idea. It needs to be done correctly. It needs to be done carefully.
We were talking to another one of our viewers, and she put it out there for everyone to see, but she's also doing this where she's going to provide a place to live, food, and experience in return for them helping. So,
yes.
Yeah, it's a good thing. A partnership is a good thing.
Yes, yes.
All right. Have anything else of wisdom to say?
Yeah, there's nothing left. It's empty.
We did something very exciting today, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it was
and
fun.
It was kind of impromptu, but not.
Well, we've been working towards it. We've been planning it. We've been looking at it. We've been wanting to do it. We've been thinking it through, and we actually did a lot of prep, so that before we did it, we were actually ready.
We were.
For a change.
For a change. Let's just say we have more little animals on the property. So, thank you everyone who has joined in on the 12 weeks of Heartiness. We keep having people join, and we're so thankful for that. Not only because it's great for us and it's great to work together, but hopefully it helps people get healthy, and that's our whole goal.
And a reminder for those who are part of 12 Weeks to Heartiness, we will be having the Q&A on Thursday at 3. We're going to make that available, so look at the message board. We'll have the information about how to access it, the specifics there, so you can do that.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.